There are people that others think are losing, but while you think they're losing because they're not adhering to the priorities that you have for your house, their house has other priorities. So I'm calling this one, Can You Take an L? There are people who make decisions that for the things they love and the people they love, they'll do this old school thing called sacrifice. So they don't care if you got the nice. I have a relative who drove cars that were not as nice for quite a while, and people thought he was taking an L. But he counts all of his kids that he put through private schools because there were other priorities in his house. You can't set priorities for another man's house. You look at people from afar and you say, well, why didn't this person take off here? And why didn't this person take off here? They got off to a good ministry start. Well, you also can say this. I look back and the road sounds so sexy. The road can be so intoxicating. But a whole lot of people that went on the road, they lost their families. Can you take an L? Sometimes taking an L is just step back. And while everybody values this thing over here, we're going to value this thing right here. My wife and I had a particular juncture that was a very trying year. Our daughter Stephanie had 7 1-week stays in the hospital in 1 year. We didn't know whether we were coming and going, whether we even had our mind. I was just always prepared to go to the hospital and you just don't know what goes on in someone else's house. So we were out smiling, looking like we're trying to do this and trying to do that, but we were absolutely crazy. So sometimes you got to sacrifice for the house. My mother walked to work. So my 3 sisters and I, it wasn't glamorous walking to work, but she walked to work. And me and my 3 sisters, good God Almighty, I do have 3 sisters, but 2 are by my mom. Let me correct that. My 2 sisters and I, she walked to work, but she felt that she would take an L for a house. It's called sacrifice. No one wants to talk about it. I sold a car to a young man once, and he had married. He's married, and he and his wife, who was a beautician, had been through many struggles making it onward, and they finally got to the spot where things were looking their way after many trials, and we got a nice late model used Mercedes, and they came and bought it. And while he was ready to show those other drivers at work, and so I can do just like you all, paperwork is signed, wife drives off with the kids in their other car with no air. So as a salesman, you don't get in people's family business, but as a big brother, I said, brother, your wife's a beautician. She knows hundreds of women, and worse for you, her mother's in the same business. So she grew up knowing hundreds of women. The very sight of you, a nice looking guy, light skinned, nice looking brother, a sign of you looking good in that Benz, and wifey driving the old car with no air, with all the kids. That ain't gonna go well for you. I said, maybe you should just drive every now and then to work to show those guys and let this be wifey's car. And I promise you, with God as my witness, a couple weeks later, Steve, you were right. And hey, the rest is history. You don't know what another household holds. So while you're judging and you're saying, that's an L. The house esteems something else. They may be winning in a whole different area. You don't know what commitments have been made. You don't know what challenges can be made. You don't know what thrusts have been negated just to keep things together. And at the end of the day, they may be beating you over here and beating you over there and beating you over here and beating you over there. And all of a sudden you look and they don't even know, or they don't even have a house left. So look, you every now and then, even the best of us, has to predetermine that I'm going to take an L. I'm going to sacrifice this over here that I might win overall. So stop judging, because you don't know who made a previous decision to take an L. And you see them taking an L, but they might have already known the L was coming because they value and esteem something else. Be blessed.